Natural family planning. Safe, healthy, and effective. It's the natural way to plan your family. As a result of scientific research, a precise knowledge of a woman's fertility cycle has been achieved. Doctors have learned that a woman's fertile and infertile times are marked by certain signs, and by observing and cross-checking these signs, couples can determine when marital relations may lead to pregnancy and when they may not. We refer to the cross-checking of these signs as the Sympto-Thermal Method of Natural Family Planning. What you will learn in the next few minutes is only an introduction. You will need further instruction to be able to use the method successfully. Let's first briefly review the workings of a woman's reproductive system. The female reproductive organs are the vagina, uterus, cervix, fallopian tube, ovary, and ovarian follicle. Each ovary has thousands of follicles, and each follicle contains an immature egg. For all practical purposes, your fertility cycle begins when your period starts. A hormone called follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH for short, is released from the pituitary gland at the base of the brain and signals the ovary to begin the process towards ovulation. The follicle which contains the egg begins to develop and sends out another hormone signal, estrogen, which tells the uterus to prepare for ovulation in 3 ways. It will thicken the inner lining of the uterus to prepare for implantation. The cervix will secrete a mucus discharge and undergo some physical changes. You know if your hormones are preparing for ovulation through these cervix and mucus signs. At ovulation, the follicle releases the egg, and as the egg leaves the ovary, it is picked up by the end of the fallopian tube, and it moves towards the uterus. If the couple have sexual relations at the fertile time, the husband's sperm swim through the cervix and the uterus and into the fallopian tubes, where fertilization occurs. About a week later, the newly conceived life implants in the uterus. After ovulation, the follicle that released the egg sends out a second female hormone, progesterone, which suppresses any further ovulations in that cycle. The progesterone maintains the inner lining of the uterus with a rich blood supply, which is important for implantation and successful pregnancy. The progesterone has 3 observable effects that tell you that you have ovulated. It causes your waking temperature to rise, your cervical mucus to dry up, and your cervix to close and lower. Therefore, you can cross-check an elevated temperature pattern against the disappearance of mucus and the cervix changes to determine that you are past the fertile time. If you are not pregnant, your progesterone level remains high for approximately 2 weeks after ovulation, before it drops. The lining of the uterus sloughs off during menstruation, and a new cycle begins. The first day of menstruation is considered the first day of the new cycle. So you see, there are definite signals that your body sends to you throughout your menstrual cycle. When you are aware of these signs, you can determine your fertile and infertile times each month. This is the basis of natural family planning's Sympto-Thermal Method, becoming aware of the natural functions that make up your fertility cycle. From a scientific perspective, we can divide the menstrual cycle into 3 phases, beginning with menstruation. We call Phase 1 pre-ovulation infertility. Phase 2 is the fertile time. That's when pregnancy can occur. Phase 3 is the time of post-ovulation infertility. What we've done so far is to explain some of the scientific background for natural family planning. Now let's take a close look at 2 of the primary signs of fertility and infertility that are used in the Sympto-Thermal Method of NFP, the temperature and the mucus. The temperature sign. The rise in your basal or waking temperature is the best tested indicator that ovulation has already occurred. This sign is very objective, and you can become an expert temperature taker and recorder in 1 day. Here you see a typical 2-level temperature graph. Typical pre-ovulation temperatures range between 97 and 98 degrees Fahrenheit. After ovulation, your waking temperature will rise, usually at least 0.4 of 1 degree. The temperatures remain at this higher level for about 2 weeks, and then they drop just before or during menstruation. The main value of the temperature sign is that several days of elevated temperatures give you a very positive sign that you are in phase 3, the time of post-ovulation infertility. The cervical mucus sign. Cervical mucus is a normal, healthy secretion which is quite necessary for fertility. The function of cervical mucus is to aid fertility by providing a swimming medium for sperm and by prolonging sperm life. Mucus appears before and around the time of ovulation and usually disappears after ovulation. At the time of maximum fertility, it often takes on the characteristics of raw egg white. After ovulation, it dries up and generally disappears. The presence of cervical mucus is a very positive sign of being fertile. This shows how cervical mucus stretches at the most fertile time of the cycle. However, sometimes the mucus becomes so watery that it will not stretch like this. Instead, it produces a distinct feeling of wetness or slipperiness at the outer lips of the vagina. In the Sympto-Thermal Method of Natural Family Planning, you can cross-check the rising temperature pattern against the drying up of the mucus to know when post-ovulation infertility begins. There are also physical changes that occur in the cervix itself, which are explained in detail in natural family planning classes. Remember, this tape is meant just as a brief overview of what the Sympto-Thermal Method is all about. In our classes, we will teach you step by step how to observe, record, and interpret each of the signs of fertility. This tape is by no means intended to be actual instruction. Natural Family Planning Sympto-Thermal Method. It's safe, healthy, and effective. It's safe because it does not make use of any potentially dangerous drugs or birth control devices. It is simply a matter of learning your own bodily signs of fertility and infertility. It's healthy. As you become aware of your body, charting may give you an early tip-off about certain health problems. And it's effective. Couples who practice the Sympto-Thermal Method can achieve a 99% level of effectiveness in avoiding pregnancy. And where there are no pathological problems, couples can use this same information to have a high degree of effectiveness in achieving much-wanted pregnancies. A 99% effective rate may seem high to people who continue to think of the calendar rhythm of the 1930s. This is not the calendar rhythm. In fact, the United States Department of Health, Education, and Welfare ran a study in which couples who used the cross-checking Sympto-Thermal Method of natural family planning to avoid pregnancy had exactly 0 unplanned pregnancies. Natural family planning works well for both achieving and avoiding pregnancy. But there's another way it works well too. It helps couples to grow as a married couple. The times of abstinence can and should be times of courtship. The end result is that 95% of couples who use natural family planning recommend it to others.
My husband and I just went to our first NFP class taught by CCL a week ago. I can't express enough how much we appreciate it. I have learned more from that class, and then from the last week of charting about my body and how it works than I have in my entire life.
When my husband and I were engaged, we attended an NFP class in Louisiana. I cannot begin to tell you how wonderful it's been to practice natural family planning for the past 3 years. Last month, I gave birth to our first child, a beautiful baby girl.
It is so easy, and I think it has made our great marriage even better. My only regret was not finding this sooner.
Now you may be wondering, how can I learn more about natural family planning? It's easy. The Couple-to-Couple League for Natural Family Planning offers a series of 4 classes taught by professionally trained teaching couples. The classes are usually a month apart, so you can gain experience between each class. To get information about these classes, just ask whoever is showing this tape or write CCL. If your schedule doesn't allow you to attend the classes, the Couple-to-Couple League also has a home study course that is an excellent substitute for the classes. To get more information, please write to CCL Home Study, Box 111184, Cincinnati, Ohio 45211. Natural family planning is the way of the future. Learn the Sympto-Thermal Method with the Couple to Couple League and join the many thousands who have already done so. Natural family planning. It's safe, healthy, and it works.